Have you ever faced a moment where you held the truth in your hands? Proof, evidence, clarity. Yet the person standing across from you looked you straight in the eye and said, "No one is going to believe you." We grow up thinking that truth always wins, that if we're right, justice will automatically be on our side. But reality isn't that simple. The world often chooses to believe the mask rather than the person behind it. Picture this. You walk into a crowded room. Everyone is laughing, praising someone you know is corrupt, toxic, manipulative. They call them kind, generous, respectable. And you who sees their real face suddenly feel like the crazy one. In today's video, we're going to expose one of the cruelest forms of gaslighting, the weaponized phrase that has silenced countless people. And, more importantly, I'll show you how to turn this very attack into a source of unshakable strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If something is true, it will stand firm against every opposition." Truth doesn't need the crowd to survive. It only needs you to protect it within yourself. So today, we'll connect ancient Stoic wisdom with the modern battlefield of manipulation, where masks are everywhere, and your only shield is the fortress of your own mind. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the Stoic Habit. Consider subscribing. This is where you learn to build unbreakable mental strength, stay calm in chaos, and live with a dignity no one can take away. And I'm Jason. Let's dive right in. Chapter 1. The dark side of the phrase, "No one will believe you." This phrase is not just denial. It is a dagger plunged straight into the heart of your confidence. Think about it. When someone looks you in the eye and says, "No one will believe you," they aren't just rejecting your story. They are rejecting your reality. They're cutting you off from the very foundation of human trust. We saw this play out in the high-profile trial of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Even with recordings, even with testimonies, there were still moments when the public was divided, unsure of who to believe. And in one recording, the words, "No one will believe you," surfaced an unmistakable glimpse into the cruel mechanics of gaslighting. When this phrase lands, it plants 3 toxic seeds in your mind. First, self-doubt. You begin to wonder, did I imagine it? Did I exaggerate? Second, isolation. You whisper to yourself, "If no one believes me, why speak at all?" And third, despair, the quiet surrender. Maybe I should stay silent, even when I know I'm right. That is the genius of this tactic. It doesn't just silence your voice, it silences your spirit. It makes you the jailer of your own truth. But here's the question we must ask. Why is this phrase so effective? Why does a simple sentence, only 5 words long, have the power to paralyze even the strongest among us? The answer lies in the mask's manipulators wear the carefully crafted public image that makes their victims appear unbelievable. It lies in our human need for belonging, the fear of standing alone against the crowd. And it lies in the psychological trap of wondering whether our pain will be dismissed as drama or delusion. So before we move forward, hold on to this thought. Every time you hear, "No one will believe you," understand that it is not the truth. It is a weapon, and like every weapon, it can be disarmed. Chapter 2. The Masks of Manipulators. To understand why "no one will believe you" is so effective, we need to see the masks. Manipulators survive by wearing 2 faces. One face for the world, smiling, generous, admirable, and another face for you, the victim, cold, cruel, relentless. This is why their words cut so deep. Because when you step forward with the truth, you're not only fighting against a person, you're fighting against their carefully built reputation. Think of Bernie Madoff, the man behind the largest Ponzi scheme in history. For decades, he was celebrated as a genius, praised by the financial elite, trusted with billions. To his clients, he was a savior. But behind closed doors, he was quietly destroying lives. Imagine being the first person to raise suspicion about him. Who would the world have believed? The respected legend of Wall Street, or the lone voice of warning? This is the cruel brilliance of the mask. It is armor. The manipulator knows that society loves appearances, success, charm, charisma. And so when they say, "No one will believe you," they're not bluffing. They're counting on their mask to protect them. But Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. No mask, no matter how polished, can hide the corruption within forever. Time will always reveal the truth. And yet, the waiting is painful, because while the mask holds, you feel alone. You watch others applaud the very person who has hurt you. You hear their laughter, their praise, and it twists the knife even deeper. But here's what the Stoics teach us. Your freedom doesn't come from tearing off their mask. It comes from refusing to wear one yourself. Their power is performance. Your power is integrity. They act for the crowd. You live for the truth. So when they whisper, "No one will believe you," remember, belief is fickle, but truth is eternal. The question is, how do you hold on when the world really does refuse to listen? That's what we'll uncover next. Chapter 3. The harsh truth. Sometimes they're right. Here's the part no one wants to admit. Sometimes when they say, "No one will believe you," they're right. And that's what makes this phrase so powerful. It isn't always a lie. It has just enough truth in it to cut you where it hurts most. Maybe you've seen this at work. A toxic boss crosses the line, you report them. HR smiles politely, but then they say, "That doesn't sound like the person we know." In other words, "We don't believe you." Or maybe in your family, you try to expose the parent who was manipulative behind closed doors. The relatives shake their heads, insisting, "They've always been kind and generous to us. Are you sure you're not exaggerating?" Again, the same verdict. "We don't believe you." This is the cruel genius of gaslighting. They use their public image as a shield, and because the world loves a polished mask, you end up doubting your own reality. But here is where Stoicism gives us clarity. Seneca once wrote, "The crowd is the most dangerous of teachers. If you live by the approval of the crowd, you will die by its rejection." You don't need everyone to believe you. You don't even need most people to believe you. What you need is to believe yourself. To hold on to your integrity when no one else will. Think of Galileo. He dared to say the earth revolved around the Sunday. The entire world, church, scholars, rulers called him wrong. They forced him to recant, yet history vindicated him. His truth didn't vanish just because no one believed. So yes, sometimes they're right. In that moment, no one may believe you. But that does not erase reality. Truth does not depend on applause, it depends on courage. The real question is this: if the world refuses to see the truth, will you still choose to live by it? That choice between despair and dignity is where Stoicism becomes your shield. Chapter 4. The Stoic counterattack. Control what you can. Epictetus taught us one of the most liberating truths of all time. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. Whether people believe you, that is not up to you. Whether the crowd applauds or mocks, that is not up to you. But holding on to your truth, guarding your integrity, protecting your inner fortress, that will always be up to you. Think of Elon Musk in the early days of SpaceX. Almost everyone said he was crazy. When 3 rockets exploded in a row, the world laughed. Investors abandoned him. The media called him a fool. If Musk had believed the voices saying, "No one will believe in you," SpaceX would have died on the launch pad. Instead, he focused on what he could control, testing, learning, building, trying again. And eventually, the 4th rocket soared. The truth of his vision didn't need belief, it needed persistence. This is the Stoic counterattack. Stop wasting energy on what you cannot command and pour it fully into what you can. Here's how. Write down the truth as you know it. Document it, not for the crowd, but for your own clarity. Choose your battles wisely. Don't scream to the mob. Speak only to those capable of hearing. And above all, master your own response. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The manipulator wants to drag you into endless arguments. They want you shouting, desperate, flailing so that you look unstable, and they look calm. Don't play that game. Silence can be sharper than any blade. Calmness can be the loudest rebuttal. Because when the storm passes, people will forget who shouted the loudest, but they will remember who stood with dignity. So when you hear, "No one will believe you," ask yourself, what part of this is mine to carry, and what part is theirs to lose? That simple shift is your counterattack. And yet, even with this shield, there's a deeper wound to face: the loneliness that follows when you truly stand alone. How do you survive that isolation? That's what we'll confront next. Chapter 5. Isolation. Breaking free from the silent prison. The cruelest effect of the phrase, "No one will believe you," isn't the doubt, it's the isolation. Because once you hear those words, you begin to withdraw. You stop speaking up. You pull away from friends. You silence yourself before the world even has a chance to silence you. And that is exactly what the manipulator wants, to make you so alone that their voice becomes the only one in your head. Marcus Aurelius warned us, "A bee cut off from the hive cannot survive." In the same way, a person cut off from human connection begins to wither. We are built for community, for shared truth, for mutual support. Isolation is the soil where despair grows. But here's the good news. You do not need the entire world to believe you. You only need a few, a circle, a tribe. Think of Oprah Winfrey. As a child, she suffered abuse that few believed when she first spoke of it. But she found mentors, allies, communities where her voice mattered. And from that foundation, she built a life that turned her pain into power, her silence into a platform that gave millions of others permission to speak. You can do the same. Seek out those who understand, survivors, communities, even a single trusted friend. And if the outside world feels empty, turn to philosophy, to books, to the written word. When Seneca wrote his letters, he was in exile, cut off, isolated, yet his words became lifelines across centuries. His solitude became our strength. Remember, isolation is not just being alone. It is believing you are alone in your struggle. The truth is, others have walked this path before you, and if you reach out, you will find them. So when you feel the prison walls of silence closing in, remind yourself, connection is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. And once you escape the cage of isolation, there is only one more battle to win: the battle within. Because in the end, the greatest victory is not when others believe you, but when you refuse to stop believing yourself. Chapter 6. The final battle: believing yourself. At the end of it all, the manipulator's goal is not simply to silence your voice. Their true aim is to make you stop believing yourself. Because once you surrender that, once you no longer trust your own mind, they don't need to control you anymore. You will control yourself through fear and doubt. This is why Stoicism is so vital. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the integrity of your own mind is your only true refuge. When the world mocks you, when the crowd doubts you, when even your closest allies hesitate, your shield is your own conviction. History proves this again and again. Galileo stood before the most powerful institution of his time, forced to recant his discovery that the earth moves around the sun. He whispered words that echo through time, and yet it moves. They silenced his voice, but they could not silence reality. Truth is not erased by disbelief. Or think of Nelson Mandela, labeled a terrorist, condemned, imprisoned for 27 years. The world did not believe in him, yet he believed in himself. And when the mask of his oppressors finally cracked, he emerged not bitter, but stronger, his truth intact, his dignity unbroken. This is the lesson. You do not need the entire world to validate your story. You need only one unwavering ally: yourself. Seneca wrote, "The man who possesses virtue is never alone, because when you hold integrity, you carry a companion that cannot betray you. You walk with courage, even in silence. So the next time someone says, "No one will believe you," smile inwardly. Let them play their games with masks and crowds. You know the truth, and that is enough. Because the greatest freedom is this: to live so aligned with your own integrity that belief becomes irrelevant. You are not here to be believed, you are here to be true. And if you choose that path, then you, too, will discover what the Stoics promised centuries ago: a strength no one can take, a peace no one can shake, and a dignity that will outlast every mask. Conclusion. So, the next time someone says to you, "No one will believe you," remember this: they are not speaking the truth, they are only trying to strip you of your inner confidence. But you have the power to hold your integrity, to choose truth, and to live guided by reason. Share in the comments, have you ever heard this phrase, and how did you face it? If this video spoke to you, consider liking and subscribing, and join me, Gabriel, on the Stoic habit, a fortress of the mind that no one can break. Comment, "I choose integrity."